Hi everybody, this is Matt Gonzalez with ActiveTravelVideos.com. Welcome to our first ever podcast. For our first ever podcast, we caught up with someone who really has meant a lot and does mean a lot to us. When it comes to endurance sports, one of the USA's top athletes over the last 2 decades has been Colorado's Josiah Middaugh. Josiah is the 2015 Xterra World Champion. He's a 2-time fat bike world champion and a 6-time national snowshoe champion. So Josiah has really done it all in his career. Last year, Josiah competed in Eco-Challenge Fiji, which has been featured on Amazon Prime Video, very popular show on Amazon Prime. And we recently caught up with Josiah to ask him about his Eco-Challenge experience. We want to thank Josiah for joining us today. Josiah, tell us about your overall experience doing Eco-Challenge Fiji. Exactly how tough was it?
Eco-Challenge Fiji was my first expedition-length adventure race. It was definitely an epic adventure with so many unknowns and unpredictable situations. For me, the sleep deprivation was the biggest unknown. And then the dynamics of the team is something that I'm not used to with my individual sports. But we fared pretty well. We all took care of each other. I felt like we always were moving faster than our weakest link. And so that means helping out, carrying heavier packs, or making sure people are fed and healthy. So it was a very, very tough, challenging course, epic adventure, no doubt. But we embraced it and we came out of it, without any lasting injuries or without getting sick. So that was pretty amazing.
Describe Fiji as an adventure destination. How beautiful was Fiji? What was Fiji like?
I think Eco-Challenge did a good job of capturing the beauty of Fiji with the show, but what you didn't see is just how challenging and rugged the terrain was. A lot of times the only clear path was through a creek or a river, and so we're on slippery rocks and just with wet feet all the time. And the most amazing thing was these remote villages, the people in these villages. Almost everybody was barefoot, everybody was healthy, everybody was happy, and everybody was strong. They could just move so gracefully over rocky, muddy terrain barefoot. It was unbelievable.
Eco-Challenge looks crazy and dangerous. Were you ever concerned for the safety of yourself and for the safety of your team?
The Eco-Challenge was definitely an authentic adventure race. Even though they had a lot behind them as far as production of the show, the way that the show was put on, there was no gimmicks. I mean, we were full on racing and the danger level was very high. Luckily, I was on a very competent team. I had Mike Closer, one of the best adventure racers of all time. Flash Gordon Townsend was an elite special forces guy from New Zealand. So he was very competent, especially with maps and just survival in general. And Gretchen Reeves has so much experience and is just has a good time on the most dangerous parts, like the river rafting. But we all had to get certified in swift water, ropes, navigation, and first aid months before the race took place. And I think the biggest reason for the 4-person team is safety. And so you're all there to take care of each other, number one.
You've done all kinds of racing. How does this format of racing, this long distance format, compare to other races that you've done and other races that you currently do?
This format of racing was very different for me. I usually specialize in 2.5 to 3 hour races. So to go out and know that I'm going to be out there for over a week straight, that was a huge unknown for me. And the sleep deprivation was very tough. And just feeling like you're always on, you're always racing. It was really a mental battle. But you had to show up and be there for your team at every moment. And so I felt like we did a pretty good job of keeping a positive attitude despite, some huge challenges with things like hypothermia, big wrong turns and navigation, setbacks that, were up to 8 or 9 hours of mistakes that we had to overcome and just keep charging on.
What you described sounds pretty miserable. So that leads me to my next question. With all that said, would you do another Eco-Challenge?
Would I do another Eco-Challenge? The answer to that is a definite yes. I don't specialize in this type of racing, but I would not pass up another opportunity to do this race. I'm at the point in my career that I'm really craving an epic challenge, an epic adventure, and Eco-Challenge just does that for me. It's such a well-run race, and it's such an amazing adventure. I would definitely do it again.
For those that have seen the television series or the Amazon Prime series, they know that the host of Eco-Challenge Fiji was Grylls, or is Grylls, and I believe Grylls is also an executive producer on the TV show. Overall, what kind of person was Grylls?
The thing about Grylls is that he's just an authentic human being, and that's, I think, his big appeal with all of his TV shows, and he was definitely in his element at the Eco-Challenge. I think he would actually be able to hold his own pretty well on a team. He would probably be a good team leader. He added a lot of star power to the event, and it was pretty surreal at times to see him just out at random places on the course or flying by hanging out of a helicopter.
We want to thank Josiah Middaugh for sharing his experience doing Eco-Challenge Fiji, and we hope you all enjoyed this conversation. We want to thank Josiah for being our first ever guest on our first ever podcast for ActiveTravelVideos.com. Stay tuned for more.